taught us the mask was for our protection, but we're finding out that true safety starts when we take it off. I'm Gerron Scott, and this is Black and Diagnosed. This is a sanctuary for the mind, a space built for those navigating the world with labels like ADHD, bipolar, anxiety, and depression. We're moving past the clinical whispers to have honest conversations about our lived reality. Pull up a seat, catch the vibe, and join us in the garden. Welcome to Black and Diagnosed. We're happy to have you here with us, whether you listen on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get your podcast. Today, we have a new guest with us. Let her introduce herself.
Hello, everyone. I'm Shayla Hubert. I'm currently, I work in higher education student affairs. I love to read. I love to travel. One interesting fact about me, I have traveled to every state in the U.S. except Alaska and Hawaii. I'll be in Alaska next month, so I'm really excited about that. So love to travel, love to hang out with friends, brunch, festivals. I'm from Atlanta, so all the Atlanta things. Huge sports fan. Go Dogs. How about them dogs? And let's see, all the Atlanta sports teams are my favorite. Yeah, that's pretty much a little bit about me.
I have a couple questions about your traveling experience.
Okay.
I'm from Rhode Island, and most people have not been to Rhode Island. First of all, they think it's located in New York City. Shout out to everybody who failed geography. But that's okay. What did you think of Rhode Island?
It was cold.
It was cold.
It
yeah,
was cold.
If you're going to,
it was cold when I went.
I will put Rhode Island seafood pound for pound, creature by creature, top 3 in the country.
Okay.
Top 3.
Okay.
Beaches, top 10. We have the most coastline in the country. It's the smallest state, but we punch above our weight. Chinese food, the food in general, the people are amazing, but the food, top 5 in the food in the country.
Yeah.
So what has been your favorite travel destination in the country?
In the country, DC. That's my favorite city. DC. Love BC. Love the food in DC. They have wonderful variety of food in DC. People are great, awesome. DuPont Circle is my favorite. And so yeah, DC for sure.
What brunch is better, DC brunch or Atlanta brunch?
Atlanta brunch with the grass walls
And
Atlanta
the hookah.
brunch and the hookah. That's Atlanta. You know, that's a staple.
Hookah with your crab legs. Gotta love it.
Yeah, for sure.
My top 3 cities are New Orleans, Chicago, and Philly. People always look at me crazy when I say Philly, but I love Phillies. It gives me that rough, gruff, but it's such a great time whenever I go to Philly.
Okay.
What are your thoughts on New Orleans?
Yeah, love New Orleans. A good time. Could never live there. A lot going on, but love the food. I think it's called Ruby Slipper. Red Slipper is the name of the brunch place.
Ruby Slipper, I think. That's great.
That's their food. Every time I go to New Orleans, I'm there definitely for their brunch. So.
Okay. So you said you're going to Alaska next month. What part?
Yeah, I'm going to Fairbanks.
What's in Fairbanks? Do they have bears?
They have everything. I'm looking right now to figure out exactly like what excursions, but I will be fishing. So I'm really excited about that.
Okay. Fun fact, I am terrified of bears. One time, I like to go on adventures. Sometimes I like to go on adventures by myself. I was in Great Dismal Swamp in Virginia. If you've ever been there, it's a swamp, but it's beautiful. I seen a black bear, a cub, run across my path, maybe 100 yards in front of me. I froze, almost crapped my pants. And because I'm just waiting for the mama bear to come. If you see the baby bear, the mama bear got to be close by. So I'm just standing there for 10 minutes waiting for this bear to come eat me. And everybody's like, it's a black bear. They're scared of you. I'm like, I am terrified of this bear. So that's a fun fact about me. I am fucking terrified of bears. But I also realized that no one has my location. I could end up dead and no one will know for days, if not weeks, because no one knows my location. So I had to share with my friend James. Shout out to Jay, because I was just like, someone needs to know where I am at all times because no one does. Um, but fishing, do you like to fish?
No, but it's something that they do, and so I'm excited to just, do it for the excursion. It's not really something that I don't know if I'm gonna enjoy, but you have to fish when you're in Alaska, so.
Okay, okay. What about outside the country? Where have you been?
Oh, wow, I've been everywhere. I was in Mexico I was gonna say last month. I'm sorry, December. I was in Mexico in December. I went for my birthday, went to Cabo, been to Colombia. You name it, I've been. So yeah.
Have you been to Africa?
No, I haven't. And I think it's because if I ever go, I'm not coming back. So
True. I went to Cape Verde. Shout out to all my Cape Verdeans. We punch above our weight as well.
okay.
Um, I had mixed feelings about visiting. We didn't go to a resort. We stayed in the capital,
Okay.
which was nice. It's a small island. I think we stayed a few days too long. We tried to catch a flight to where my ancestors are from, but the plane had a mechanical error. So they ended up getting a smaller plane. They didn't tell anyone. They just let the first 20 people on. And I'm kind of glad we didn't catch that plane because we maybe couldn't get back to the island we originally were on. But it was so beautiful. The people were friendly. If you get a chance, you got to go.
Okay.
I loved it. It's an African island. I want to go explore all of Africa.
Oh
Like
yeah.
shout out. So what has been your favorite international destination?
Oh, that's a hard one. I'm gonna say, man, I have a great time in Mexico. Every time I'm there, I have a great time, great experience. People are great. I have a lot of fun. I love the natives, so love the food. So yeah, so I'm gonna say Mexico for sure.
I have a speech impediment, y'all, so I might butcher this word. Have you ever jumped into cenote?
No.
I did. I can't swim, yo. I'm gonna take swim lessons, but I can't swim. I had a life jacket on. I told the guy, I said, I'm jumping in. I need you to be right where I fall. He thought I was joking. I said, no, be right there where I fall. So I did it. I jumped in. The life jacket saved me. I had a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I did it again after that. I was like, oh my God, life jackets work. Crazy. I was scared. At my sister's wedding, shout out to Justin and Jaleesa, wonderful, one of the best couples I know, definitely an inspiration. They had a boat and we were gonna go snorkeling. I put my foot in that water. I was like, absolutely not. They're like, life jackets will save your life. I'm like, I can't do it. Absolutely cannot do it. At what point did you realize you were having symptoms of bipolar disorder?
Yeah, this was right after graduation. So I graduated in 2017. So this was around late 2017, early 2018. I knew that something was wrong. I was feeling like a lot of the symptoms that I was experiencing, no one could help me. And I didn't know how to articulate. I didn't know sort of what was going on with my body. I just knew that I didn't want to do anything. I didn't want to go to work. I didn't want to get out of bed. I didn't want to do the simple things. I didn't enjoy a lot of the things that interest me. And so I didn't know that they were symptoms of bipolar disorder until I met with a psychiatrist. When the psychiatrist told me, that's when I completely I never went back. I said, no, I can't have that. I don't know what that is. Um, and so I, and so it took me several years, before I actually went back to a psychiatrist in 2023. And that's when I began my medication. So, yeah.
Let's unpack that hesitancy. So what caused you to be hesitant?
Yeah, I believe that it was hereditary, and I felt like because I don't have a good relationship with my family, it was a trigger for me. And so once it was stated, I kind of already knew who in my family had it. And so because of that, I ran, and I didn't want anything to do with anything that was hereditary or passed down, because I didn't want any association with that side of my family. So,
I understand that. And soon as I was diagnosed, we like to assume or guess which side of the family it came from. And I sat there and drew a whole family tree and was just like, hmm, I don't know which side it came from because they are both got some issues
yeah.
and both have some things and that they need to deal with. So let's unpack the family issue.
Okay.
We often talk about in the Black community, we're silent on our family issues. We don't talk about our family issues. What made, what pushed you eventually to say, you know what, in spite of my family, I'm going to go get this looked at?
I would say, when I would say the episode that I had in 2023. I think that was the time where I knew something was really wrong. I couldn't shake whatever was going on at that time with my body, with my mind. I felt like I just felt like it was overwhelming for me. And so that's when I decided to seek that on my own, without my family knowing, or my friends knowing or anything like that. And so I think for me, having conversations with them afterwards, I was able to educate them on a lot of the different things. Because initially, when I first shared, they were like, "Well, you don't look like you have that." That was one of the first things that, when I shared, my diagnosis with people, they were like, "Well, you don't look like it, or you don't act like it." And so my response purposely was, "Well, what does that look like? How do people act when they have a disorder?" And so they would stop, and they're like, "You know what? I don't know. I don't know what they look like." And I'm like, "Yeah, it doesn't have a look." So yeah.
I was terrified when I was sharing my diagnosis with people.
Yeah.
My friends would tell you, I told them one by one. I cried most of the time telling them
Mm.
because all I could picture was flashbacks of like, damn, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Like, was this a sign? Was this a sign? How could I have missed it? And how did that make you feel emotionally as you talked and you talked to your family, talked to your friends about your diagnosis?
Yeah, I would say I was humiliated. It was humiliating. I felt very scared. I felt like um, they wouldn't understand. I felt like they would judge me. I felt like they would. I felt like they would basically deter me or hinder me from gathering more information about it. Like, oh no, just pray, it'll go away, or something like that. So I was very nervous as well when I told my friends and family. When I told my family, they really didn't have didn't have the information, but they did seek it on their own. So that was really, I was really appreciative of my mom doing that. My mom had no clue, and she would go and Google, or she would go and read, so that she could understand what was going on. There was a show actually that she was watching during that time, and she said that, because of that show, she was able to learn a little bit more. And I don't even remember the name of the show, but she was watching it during the time that I told her, and so just having that, to look at. And then my friends, I was very scared to tell my friends. I'm the life of the party. I'm a Sagittarius. So everyone always thinks that I'm this fun. I am 100% all the time. So to be able to tell them something like that, I thought I'd disappoint them for sure.
Now, disappointment is real. You know, we often, people with bipolar, I'm diagnosed with bipolar as well. We often have these highs where we're just so fun to be around with this ball of energy.
Yeah.
And that's because we have this grandiosity about us. We don't care. It's almost a sort of arrogance, but it's not a cocky arrogance. It's a truly like, I'm so content and happy and floating on life, this cloud nine arrogance where you're so confident in yourself that you can do anything, and that's contagious to people.
Yeah.
They love to be around that. But you also experience these lows that people don't see
Hmm.
because we're often withdrawing from those crowds and we're stuck in our own minds, stuck in our own beds, sometimes physically. How did you balance those, like, going through as you growing up and getting older?
Yeah, I think for me, that's where establishing boundaries comes into play for sure. I think letting my friends know, hey, I don't have the capacity. If they call me or if they text me, they know if I don't respond, to just give me some time, and I'll get back to them. And I think that's another thing that I love about my friends is we don't require an immediate response. And I think that came because I work in residence life. So immediate responses are all the time for me. And so when it comes to family and friendships, having to explain that to them, where I have a number of immediate responses. And so I'll get back to you if I'm not feeling the best or if I don't have the capacity to have a deep conversation. So yeah, establishing boundaries definitely assisted with that. And I think also just letting people know what you need, right? And I think that was hard for me as well, letting people know that I needed a moment. I needed to recharge. I needed to, have time to myself. I think people think that I'm, like I said, on 100 all the time. And it's like, no, I have my moments where I want to be alone, or I might not want to speak because I talked all day, things of that nature. And I think just being able to communicate that, friends, family, and also with a partner. So
Yeah, I understand that. You know, part of being bipolar is we often deal with like symptoms like impulsivity,
hmm
um, hypomania, being manic. One of my symptoms when I don't become manic, I want to spend a bunch of
spend a
money.
bunch of money.
I get impulsive. I'm just like, for example, when I lived in Richmond, Virginia, I set up a fish tank. I bought a fish tank. I did it all within a day. I set it up. The next day I got fish. And I was just like, I'm gonna go get a fish tank today, with no regard to what I need, what else I need to spend money on. Didn't care about my bills, didn't care if I needed food. I was just like, I'm gonna go get a fish tank. And I went out and got it. Um, and one of the other things that I struggled with was hypersexuality.
Yes.
Like it's and to be honest, y'all, it sucked because it was a lot of great people that was just like, oh well, I'm having fun. I'm in my 20s. I'm in my 20s and I'm just doing what single 20-year-olds do. And I would watch my close friends, they were all starting to have families or had families. And in my heart, that's what I wanted. But it's like in my mind was saying, no, you can't have that. And I was constantly fighting that. And I would have these lows because I was like, I just want this. This is all I want. What were some of the experiences that you had when it came to impulsivity or indecisiveness or grandiosity?
Yeah, I would say, but definitely both of the two examples that you said definitely would be my top two. Spending money. I mean, just going to a outlet mall and just I don't know, like buying something at every store. I mean, it was bad. I think also I love thank you for sharing about wanting or having the desire to have a family. That was something that I'm still struggling with that. I literally just talked about that in my counseling session. So I'm the last one of my friends who's not married. And so all of my friends are married, they all have children. And so for me, it is a struggle. It is a struggle to be lonely. It is a struggle to feel to feel alone, but not alone because you have other people, but then you have a lot of partners and you're not wanting to commit to them. And I think for me, that's something that I struggled with for sure, not committing um, to the connections that I've had. And so I think for me, that's definitely something that I struggled with as well. I think also talking really fast, being up, I think my sleep pattern as well um is a huge sign as well. Either sleeping too much or not sleeping enough, but thinking that you're well rested. I think for me that was something like I would literally not sleep at all, or I'd sleep an hour, and then I'd get up the next day and go to work like nothing happened. So yeah.
That was a major one. I am taking anti-insomnia medicine
Hmm.
because I've told my psychiatrist I would just be up. Like I will sit there and just want to be in bed, want to be asleep, but I am just sitting there. And I'm just like, I can't be manic. I have too much to lose. I can't I can't slip. And I feel fortunate enough because I can recognize when I'm starting to slip now. It's taking me a while to get there. But one of the things I struggle with is recognizing when I'm starting to get depressed, when I'm slipping into a depression.
Yeah.
Have you been able to notice either or?
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely notice when I'm slipping into depression for sure. I have definitely have signs where I'm feeling like kind of what I spoke about a little earlier, not wanting to get out of bed, not wanting to go to work. There'd be times where I'd call out consecutive days in a row just because I can't physically get up out of bed. I'd say definitely withdrawal for sure, not wanting to be around people, not wanting to do the things that I normally do. Whenever a friend reaches out and they're like, let's go get something to eat, I'm going to always say yes. So if I say no, then to me, I know that is definitely a sign as well. Because I never really say no to things like that. So going out and hanging out with friends, things like that. If I'm not doing that, yeah. So if I'm not talking a lot on the phone, if I'm not texting back, um, things like that, are definitely signs for sure. But definitely the getting out of bed or not getting out of bed, excuse me, is definitely a sign for me.
Yeah, I struggle with that. I always recognize at the end of it because I'm just like, I haven't wanted to get out of bed in a week,
Yeah.
or I just want to cry, or
Yeah.
I just, I want to die, and all these things. And I'm just like, I don't want to be here. I just want to be in a corner. I want to be in a ball. But I don't recognize that until afterwards when I'm back on the upswing. I'm like, oh shit, I've been depressed.
Yeah.
And I talked to my therapist, my psychiatrist about it. And none of us really understand why. Because I can feel my ups. When I was first starting my medication and the mood stabilizers was working through my body, I felt every single low. Then when I started the antidepressant, I felt the high, and maybe that's why I can tell when the highs are starting. We ended up having to adjust the medicine down some because the medicine it made me feel too up. I was just like, boom. And one of the things that people who aren't bipolar, who don't take antidepressants, don't understand is most people who commit suicide don't commit suicide when they're depressed. My psychiatrist, she told me, she said, Gerron, I'd rather you be depressed because when you're depressed, you're not going to commit suicide more than likely. You're going to want to be in a ball. You're going to want to do nothing. It's when you are manic, you have the energy you make the plan. Um, have you had any thoughts around suicide? I know we're getting deep, but have you have you had any thoughts, made any plans? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, absolutely. So I share both of them. So my first one was 2023. I was living in Los Angeles, California, and I overdosed. That was I think it was September or October of 2023. that's when I began my medication post that. And then the second one was last year, 2025, coming up on 365 days actually. It was the week of Easter. And I drove to the top of a bridge, kind of like the interstate overlay or whatever you call it. And with the intent to jump. So someone had saw me, called. So yeah, that was a year ago. So for me, I think those two times did a lot. So the first one I hid, no one knew about but the people that worked with me, just because I didn't show up for a couple days. Actually, I didn't show up for a week. So I was in a stabilization unit as well last year, post what happened. So I was in a stabilization unit for a week, 7 days, got out Easter morning. And after the one from last year, that's when that's when my family and friends started to figure out that something was wrong, and that um and I contacted my mother, who had no idea what was going on. And so contacting my mother, told her she's the one who picked me up from the stabilization unit and allowed me to stay with her. Um, so yeah, a lot of changes, a lot of things that happened. Afterwards, I woke up and felt, I'd say in 2023, when I overdosed, I woke up and I was upset. That was the feeling that I had. I was upset that it didn't happen because I knew I'd have to talk about it. I knew I'd have to answer a question, or, have to talk about it with friends or family if they found out. So I was very, very upset when that didn't happen. But looking back now, obviously, I'm very grateful that everything happened the way that it did. They did pump my stomach, so I was able to still be here. So.
My psychiatrist asks me every time we meet, have you made plans? Um, One time I did make plans and I lied. I said I didn't. I was drunk and I was ready to just drive off a bridge. And my ex, she put my dog in a car. And I love my dog. I love my son. I always say I would run through walls for both of them. And she knew if my dog was in a car, I wouldn't do it. So I ended up just driving back home because I couldn't hurt my dog. Um, I think do things we often do things that people can't understand unless they're in that situation. And one of those things being a Black woman, they often dismiss your pain or dramatic shifts as just being emotional. How do you combat that, especially in the workplace or in your personal life?
Yeah, I think for me and my experience, being able to have conversations afterwards. I actually just met with someone that I worked with previously during one of those times, and let her know that what actually happened and why I was out. And she was like, wow, I really wish that you would have told me during that time. And it really just kind of made me stop and think, like, man, if I would have shared that with her, or if I would have shared that with someone that I worked with, um, what that would have done for me and what type of support that I think I would have gotten, as opposed to being humiliated and all of these negative thoughts that I had. I think that for me, being able to share, being able to let people know what's going on, I think helps, so that people aren't assuming or making assumptions about the way in which we handle different things. I think it takes a lot to I think it takes sharing that's going to really change that, so that people are understanding of kind of what the things that we do go through.
Yeah, one of the things you said is negative thoughts. And
Yeah.
so, around that, what are some stigmas around bipolar disorder that you would like to dispel?
Yes. biggest, I'd say for me, the biggest one for me is when people assume that you are changing your mood, like when you are having a good time and then you immediately become upset. And I'm like, that is not at all bipolar disorder. And so I think because that word was used so loosely, people didn't really understand what it meant. So people are always assuming, oh, that person is bipolar. Um, that person just changes their mood automatically. And it's like, no, that's not what that is. Let's educate you. Let's let you know exactly what bipolar disorder is. What are some signs, things of that nature. So I think even having that conversation with family members, I come from a very small town, country family background, and having conversations with them, they're like, yeah, that just means that when you're in a good mood and then you become upset. And I'm like, no, that's not what that is. And so I think having those conversations, educating family, educating friends, things like that, I think helps people to understand kind of what we go through, things like that.
Yeah. My mom once said after I told her I was bipolar, she said, "The weather is so bipolar." And I was like, "That's not cool." And she was like, "You're right. I'm sorry." And to her credit, she never used the word bipolar like that again so far. And I have a great deal of respect for her for that. She's very caring, and she's older, from the old generation where they usually don't care what words they use, but she chooses to respect who I am and what I have, and I'm very grateful for her. But a lot of people don't. They say this is so bipolar, or I'm so bipolar. I remember the buzzword bipolar was a buzzword that people use to describe themselves. I get mad and I get upset so quick, then I'm happy. I'm bipolar. And it's just like, no, you experience emotions, because we all experience emotions. We all get happy. We all get sad. And sometimes we get sad quick. It's like watching a sad movie. Yes, they're designed to make you sad. Some movies are designed to make you happy. There's scenes that are designed to make you mad. But, you know, oftentimes I think people love to use that word bipolar because it's so easy for them to use it without thinking of the consequences. And what would you say to people who don't think about the consequences?
Yeah, I think it does us a disservice because if we are using our time and resources to educate, does us a disservice if you're not respectful of, kind of what you were saying about how your mom took it out of her vocabulary. My mom did the same thing. My mom used to say all types of different things. And so this has really educated and helped her to learn not to say certain things that her family members or siblings would say. So, and not only is she doing that, but she'll stop someone who's saying it in front of her. And so I'm very appreciative of her as well. She's very caring. But going back to that, I think people have to realize that um, I think people have to realize the impact that the intent versus impact, right? So like what is that impact or who does that impact? Why is it impactful to these people or to this community of people? And what does that say about you as a person if you're not respectful of that? So yeah.
I often think back to try to figure out the moment when my brain was like, "You're bipolar.
Mm.
We're doing this. Your brain is being shattered. We're not protecting you anymore from this." And I think it's when my uncle passed. I was in Fort Lauderdale at a conference, and I got a phone call from my mom, and she was telling me that my uncle wasn't making it through the morning, and he raised me. I lived with him since I was 12 up into college. And when I went home from college, I had to stay with my mom. I stayed with him. Um, so that I think was my moment where my protection wore off, and I think about Harry Potter when his mother's protection wore off on his birthday, where Voldemort was like, "We're gonna come get you now. It's on and popping." And do you have a moment in your life when you can think back and say, "This is it. This is when my brain was just like, we're doing this."
Um, yeah, I think, um, you mean when my brain was saying, when you're saying, we're doing this, what do you mean?
Like your brain was basically like, you're bipolar, where you're no longer Shayla. This is going to be, you're going to have to deal with this. You're going to have to confront this disorder. You're going to have to live with it from here on out.
Mm. I think that moment for me was when I was facing an eviction. And I think there was so much going on during that time. And then also um, me having this association. We talked about this in therapy, actually, my last session, which was the other day. Um, we talked about how I associate my worth with my work. And I think when that moment for me, I felt like a true failure. I felt like, I was facing an eviction and I didn't know what I was going to do. And I was very scared and, and hyperventilated and did all the things. And so I think for me, just knowing that, um, I lost control, didn't know what to do, didn't know who to reach out to, things like that. I think in that moment, I was like, yeah, like I can't hide this anymore. So yeah, I think it was that moment when I was facing my an eviction in 2017, no, 2017, 2017.
Hmm. You said something that intrigued me. You said you found your worth in work.
Yeah,
One of the things I always joke about is, can't no one see me professionally. My personal life can be in shambles, but professionally, Dr. Scott got it. Can't no one see me professionally. I have the awards, my resume, my CV is already 10, 12 pages long,
yeah,
right? I've been recognized nationally for the work I've done. I've been an international leader, and my personal life the whole time has been in shambles.
yeah,
I've been in more relationships than I can count. I've dated women that I've forgotten their names. I've been, yeah, I've been in so much trouble in my life that I done forgot some of the trouble I've been in. And the whole time, I was always wondering, why can I hold it together professionally, but not personally? And, you know, when you mentioned that, I started to think about the reason. And I'm just like, I don't want to see anyone question if it's the bipolar disorder,
mm,
if it's the mental health that's holding him back professionally. Personally, I'm like, fuck it. I can be a mess. I can go home. I can be a mess. I can be hypomanic. I can be manic. I can be depressed. I can do all these things. But the next day, I'm getting out of bed. I'm going to do what I need to do. But it wears me down. It tears me apart, you know. And at my old role, I had like 450 PTO hours. I used to take a week off every 2 months. Here, I can't quite do that, which sucks. But I I don't have as much self-care as I used to. So I wonder, what do you do for self-care if you were in my position, if you had limited resources?
mm. Yeah, yeah. I think that one's tough. I think for me, self-care is hard. Self-care is hard. And I think kind of what you were saying, I can definitely relate to pretty much everything you just said about showing up professionally, making sure that no one can see anything wrong or can ever say that have anything wrong with me. I think that was something that I had to learn how to navigate myself. But I think for self-care, being able to take the days. I think for me, I do travel a lot, so I think taking those days off. If I can't take the days off, what can I do to limit the amount of meetings that I have, or if I have a one-on-one, can I reschedule that and then take that time to kind of walk away from my desk or something like that. I mean, just little things that can be done throughout the day, so it doesn't seem as if your day is like jam packed with so much things. I mean, we have meetings every 5 minutes, so whenever there's a canceled meeting, we love it. We love to see a cancel meeting. But just utilizing that time for ourselves and not trying to feel like we have to make up that time with doing some more work or doing something else. So I think that's a way um that can help with that as well.
Definitely, definitely. Let's shift focus and talk about medication.
Okay.
How has the medication impacted you, your body, your image of self?
Yeah. So my medication right now I think works for me. I think we had to up the dose on some of them. I'm on mood stabilizer as well, antidepressant, and I think for me, I think that my medication works in terms of if I take it and I take it regularly at the same time, and that's something that I struggle with because when I feel like I'm at my best, I don't want to take my medicine like at all. Like I'm just like I'm good. I don't need medicine, let me go off and have a great day. So I think having to make sure that I have my reminder on my phone. I have a 8 a.m. So make sure that I take my medicine before 8 a.m. If I get that 8 a.m. Message and I haven't taken it, I do. So I think for me, um, the medicine, it gives me an opportunity to be sort of that find that middle, that equilibrium, that middle part where I'm not feeling too high or I'm not feeling too low. I think it works for me. Um I don't have dramatic like used to have very drastic changes and I'd have a really good day and then I'd have a really, really bad day. And I think using or utilizing the medication regularly, it kind of helped with that. So right now the dose that I have, the medication that I'm on, I think works for me.
Yeah, shout out to Lamictal and Rexulti. That's what I'm currently on. Shout out to those. They make me feel. I don't know what normal means, but I think I feel normal.
Yeah.
I take my medication like every day in the morning. I try to. My psychiatrist said take the antidepressant in the morning, so
Yep.
and that should help throughout the day. But it is a battle because sometimes we're like, do I need it? Am I really bipolar? I talk to a lot of people who take medication and the biggest thing is I feel fine now. Do I need it? Do I really have it? And I sometimes question it because I'm like, if I'm fine now, why can't I stop?
Hmm.
And then I remember I was a hot ass fucking mess, right?
Yep.
I've ruined every relationship that I've had because of this, right? I've had people who did nothing besides love me and I disrespected them, right? I cheated on people who did nothing but loved me, nothing but wanted me to do the best. And I was just like, fuck you. I'm gonna go do what I do. And then I would feel so bad about it that I would stop talking to them because I felt like they deserved better. And now I'm just like, I don't want to be that person anymore, right? I refuse to be that person. So I take my medication knowing that if I don't, the end result is another failed relationship, another person being hurt. So, but it's hard. It's really difficult to take my medication every day sometimes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. I can definitely relate to that for sure. Definitely days where I feel like I don't want to take it. I don't need to take it. Things like that. So I definitely understand that. But I like the fact that you said you have reminders with what happens when you don't take it. I think I need to adopt that. When I'm thinking about that, like not taking it, yeah, if I don't take this, this is a consequence of that. So yeah. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, we have to do what we got to do, and we
Yeah.
got to remember we're here. People love us, and people want to see us do our best, and this is part of us doing our best and being our best selves. So let's take it this way. You've talked about your circle of friends, but when did you know after you were diagnosed that, these are my people for real? I can truly be myself, live with this diagnosis around them.
I think last year, I think was the first, last year, 2025, April, I think was the first time that I felt like my friend showed up for me in a way that I had no idea I could be cared for like that. My friends really showed up for me, and it made me realize how grateful I am to have that support, because they really everything that I thought when I left that stabilization unit, I knew for a fact I would be judged. I knew for a fact I would have to explain. I mean, I had all of these thoughts, and it was the total opposite. It was the total opposite. My friends did not want me to have to explain anything. They just supported me and was truly there for me. And then over time, I was able to sort of share what was really going on. And even with that, they've still been amazing in supporting me and knowing how to support me as well, because I had to articulate that last year as well, so that I didn't feel swaddled. I think after what happened, um, I felt like everybody wanted to protect me. And I think it caused me to become very overwhelmed. Um, and so because of that, being able to let them know and articulate to them, hey, here's the way I love that you care for me, but here's how it makes me feel when you do, XYZ. So
Yeah, I think it's important to find a group who loves you, but also a group who understands you,
yeah.
right? And those are two different things. And one of the things I'm grateful for is having both. I have, the family and friends that are going to love you no matter what. But I also have the family and friends that understand me. And sometimes they overlap a little bit, but sometimes they don't overlap at all.
Yep.
And it's a pleasure to know people who are going to say, I get it. I understand what you're going through. I may not have bipolar disorder, but I'm willing to sit down with you. I'm willing to love you through this. And, we talk about this fear of judgment, and it's kind of like the Bible, that he without sin cast the first stone. And we see that with our friends because they're just like, why do you think I'm going to judge you? Why am I going to cast a stone at you when I've loved you all your life, or since I've met you?
Hmm.
I've loved you, right? Or I've cared for you. You've been my friend since I've met you. I'm not going to desert you now. And oftentimes I felt like, and I sometimes do, I feel like I'm unworthy of friendship. I'm unworthy of having family.
Yeah.
And for a few years, I just completely disappeared from everybody.
Hmm.
Like when I first got diagnosed, and a little bit before I got diagnosed, because I felt like I wasn't good enough to come around. And once I started to come back around, they were like, we missed you. We missed your presence. And that impacted me in a way that I can't explain, because it let me know that I am wanted, I am loved, I am cared for. My presence is, I deserve to be here. And anyone listening to this who feels like they don't belong, your people will always love you. They will always be there for you. They will always protect you. So I am so glad that you found a group of people who accept you, who understand you, who love you. And I'm glad you're able to set that boundary with them as well. What would you say to someone who's struggling to set that boundary for themselves?
Yeah, I think it does. Um, I think that it creates a level of frustration if you're not careful, because I think if you're not setting that boundary, you're not letting them know how it makes you feel when they're doing something, then they're going to continue to do it and you're going to continue to struggle. And I think for me, that's what I had to realize was, okay, if I don't say anything, um, I'm the one that's being affected. And that person is still going to continue to do whatever they want, or do whatever they think is helpful. And it's not really helping, it's actually hurting. And so being able to articulate that to them, I think one of the best examples I can give is one of my friends. She would text me every single day. Um, and it in the beginning, it was like, okay, I'm so grateful that, you know, I'm out, you're texting me, you're checking on me, things of that nature. But it became very overwhelming because she was texting me every single day. And so having to let her know, hey, I really appreciate the care that you have, and I appreciate you for reaching out every single day to check on me. I'm doing better. So establishing a boundary that, hey, I'm doing better. So maybe not every day, but maybe every other day or a couple days or something like that. And so she was really grateful that I did share that, because it was overwhelming. It was very overwhelming to have someone who's continuously checking on you, and saying, "Hey, I'm checking on you," and it's like, okay, I don't need to be checked on that much. I only need to be checked. So yeah, but it helped our relationship and it helped our friendship, and so she was grateful that I did share with her how I was feeling about her texting me every day.
I get a lot of messages from a lot of people who say, Gerron, every time you post about bipolar disorder, I'm like, dog, I feel every word you say.
Mm.
I relate to that. I think I might be going through something similar, but I'm not going to go get checked out. I'm scared because what if I have it? I have to face it. What would you say to people who are scared to go to a psychiatrist, and people who are scared to go to therapy in general? But specifically, what would you say to people who are scared to go to a psychiatrist?
Yeah, I would say if you're afraid to go to a psychiatrist, but you're still experiencing symptoms, I would say the first thing I can think about is my experience and what would have been different for me. How would I have been more comfortable going when I had to go? And I think what would have helped me, and what I would have told myself, is to find someone. So if you're seeing someone who's posting, you're seeing someone who's very open, um, I would say reach out to that person. Reach out to that person, have that conversation, ask questions, because I think it'll be easier to do that, because I think of my own experience. And if I would have met someone like you, or I would have listened to a podcast, or I would have, you know, saw that someone posted that they had something that I thought I had, um, I would have reached out to that person. But I didn't have that, and that wasn't my experience. And so I was almost like to the point where I was like, I had to go. And I hated that I had to get to that point, but I really wished that I would have had someone that I could have at least had a conversation with before going. Um, I think that's what I would tell someone. I would say, if you do know of someone, or if you've heard someone talk about it, have a conversation with them first. Also, I would say something that I've done for a student before, I went with them. I didn't go obviously inside, but go to they've never been to therapy before, wanted to schedule an appointment. So I would just walk them there to schedule the appointment, and then sat and waited on them until they got done with their session. So if you have someone like that that could do that for you as well, like a really good friend, who's supportive, have them go with you. Have them just kind of, and sit around and wait on you until you get done with your session. And so just trying to find ways to connect or have a connection with another person who's experiencing those same symptoms. That would be my advice.
Now's the time of the show where we turn it over to you to ask me any questions that's on your mind.
Okay, yeah, absolutely. So I guess my first question would be, what's your favorite sports team?
The Lakers, of course, and the Los Angeles Chargers.
No
I know
way.
I am a Lakers fan. I've been a Lakers fan since before I was born,
Okay.
right? So I am not a bandwagon fan. I am a diehard Lakers fan. That's growing up, I just knew Celtics and Lakers. And I knew I was a no Celtics fan. Chargers, that's been my team since I was like 10 years old. I could have been a Patriots fan, could have experienced so many championships being from New England, but I can't be. I'm a Chargers fan, and hopefully we get a championship someday.
Okay. Okay. So I'm assuming you're not a Braves fan either.
No, I root for the Braves.
Okay.
I root for all Atlanta sports. Having
Okay.
gone to school in Georgia, I root for Georgia Bulldogs, or Georgia Dogs. Oops, sorry. I got to be polite. As my son says, go Dogs. I root for all Georgia sports.
Okay. Awesome. Well, good. I'm glad that, sports. I mean, with you being a Lakers fan, I'm not going to be, I don't know, I'm not going to be as upset, I guess, but Chargers, I don't know about that. Yeah, I'm not too sure about that. Where's one of your favorite things to do outside of, I guess, like, what is, like, in terms of a hobby or something that you enjoy doing? What's one of your favorite things to do when you're just having a really good day? What do you have to do?
I like being on my bike.
Okay.
I cycle. If it's above 70 degrees, I like being outside, whether it's walking. I prefer to cycle. I need to get back out there. My bike, I got a tune up last year. I might get a small tune up this year and just hit the trail. The Capitol Trail that goes from Richmond, in Richmond, it goes 52 miles. I've done it once one way. Never got the chance to do it both ways. Never got the courage to do it 100 miles, but I'd have done it the 50 miles.
Wow. Nice. That's impressive. What are 3 things that you are most proud of
My
about yourself?
son, I'm most proud of my son. He works so hard. He's so gifted. Um, let's see what else. My PhD and my
Okay.
relationship
Yeah.
with God.
Yeah. That's really good. That's really good. Okay. That's all the questions that I have.
I have one more question for you. What is your
Okay.
favorite 90s sitcom?
Ooh. Oh, that's so good. A Different World. I actually just finished, I just finished, what am I on? Episode 6 or something. But A Different World. A Different World. You
That is
gotta
a
see it.
great choice.
Thank you.
As I say every episode, I am going to stand for Living Single. Every
Okay.
chance I get, I want to tell everybody to watch Living Single. And if you haven't watched Living Single, you are missing out.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, thanks, Shayla, for being here with us.
Thank you.
That's our time in the garden today. If this conversation resonated with you, or if it helped you feel a little less alone in the fog, please share it with someone who needs to hear it. This has been Black and Diagnosed with Gerron Scott. If you'd like to contact me or share your story, you can reach me on Instagram at g.scott, GDOTSEOTT, or info@gerronscott.com. Make sure you subscribe to get the newest episodes when they drop. Be well, and I'll see you back in the garden soon.